Tonight,
My family believes that I'm going to hell.
this is so taboo, it's rarely talked about.
This is about being willing to piss some people off to save your life.
A family torn apart.
Your baby's in the midst of a life-altering experience that goes against everything that you believe in. Jeremiah, I don't want to play with you, brother. I'm fighting for your life.
Can they survive the truth?
He doesn't know that I live my life as a male.
Next.
Life happens to everybody, even me. Life didn't care that I had written a bunch of books, traveled the world speaking, married the love of my life, lived in my dream home, and made a bunch of money. And then life left me broke and feeling broken. The only way to get back was to do the work. I did my work and put my life back together piece by piece. I am Iyanla, and I am here to help you do your work. I'm here in Los Angeles to help a family in breakdown, a family where one member is struggling to be who they are, to stand in their truth. But we're fighting something very difficult. We're fighting beliefs. 27-year-old Jeremiah says he spent his entire life feeling like he was born in the wrong body.
To my family, I am Cynthia Jean. To my family, I'm Dimples. I'm not Jeremiah. I began to talk to God when I was like 6 or 7. Like, God, please just make me a boy. I came out to my family when I was around 16 or 17 as a lesbian. My father is a Pentecostal preacher. He said, "Get out my house, you bulldagger. That lesbian demon is on you. You need to let go of this spirit of lesbianism and homosexuality."
I don't try to classify it with the world, lesbian, and they used to have an old term, bulldagger, you know what I mean? I said she's just a little bit confused. I still believe the Lord's gonna change her. I will never accept her as Jeremiah.
Jeremiah says that he was blamed for the death of his mother.
There were ministers who have said to me, the Lord took your mom away to show you that the lifestyle that you're living is you going against the will of God. Today, my family thinks that I'm a lesbian, but that's not who I am. I actually started living my life fully as male, I'd say around the age of 22 or 23.
Jeremiah says he's ready to start the process of transitioning into a man, but he says his father doesn't know.
I don't want my dad to hate me. I can't lose them because they are all I have.
I feel that if a choice had to be made between the love of my daughter and righteousness, I'm gonna choose righteousness. I'm gonna choose God.
If Dimples and my father do not fix the relationship they have, then he's gonna lose her forever.
This is one of those stories that people just don't talk about. They just don't. It's about sex and religion and fathers and daughters and the inability to accept the truth. But if we don't get the truth told, it really could be the death of this family. Jeremiah has just flown in from Dallas. He'll be meeting with his father tomorrow. Today, I want to see if he's prepared to tell the truth. You nervous?
Yes. No, not really. Not really, kinda, I guess.
What you nervous about?
Fear, what's gonna happen.
Well, what do you want to happen?
Change, healing. Yeah, that's what I want to happen.
What is it that you think I can do for you?
I think that you can help me to bring peace in my life. I feel like I'm tormented because I worry about so much my father, what he thinks of me. I have this guilt and shame, and it's a burden, and I feel like I've carried it for too long. I can't keep carrying it.
So you're guilty because you are?
Transgender. This is who I am.
And you feel guilty about that because?
Because my family believes that I'm going to hell.
That you're making that about them. This has got to be about you because you ain't got peace. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about who you are? In here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you fully accepted it?
Not really.
Okay, tell me what you think about it. Come on. Just close your eyes and tell me what you think. Yes. Just close your eyes and tell me what you think about this incredible experience that you're having. What is it?
It's scary.
Yeah. Give me these. You don't need these.
Okay. I'm scared.
Yes.
I'm fearful.
Yeah. You're
I'm
scared
afraid.
of what? What are you afraid of, baby?
Not being accepted.
Well, that's already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what else?
I'm afraid that the little family I do have, I'm going to lose.
Yeah. And what else?
I'm afraid of transitioning into society as a black male.
Whoa. Let me tell you, boo, that ain't easy. That ain't easy. It wasn't easy being a black female.
Right.
And now here you go out the pot into the fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel guilty for choosing to live my truth.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing to me because you're demonstrating a courage that most people can't even fathom. Giving it all away in order to have yourself. If your heart had a voice, beloved, what would it say right now?
Why do these people hate me?
Yeah. Let it speak, just let it speak.
They believe that I'm an abomination.
Yeah.
I'm a demon.
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
When I heard my father say I was a demon, it made me feel low.
Yeah. Come on, what else?
How can my father disown me knowing I don't have my mom? How can he call me names whenever he needs me? I'm there without hesitation. I don't question when he needs me. If he needs me to pray for him, you know, I'll do it. And that's what I understand. You'll call me to pray for you, but you won't accept who I am. It just doesn't make any sense.
Look how frightening, beloved, it has been for you to go against what you were taught. What if your father never accepts you? Do you know that you will be okay?
I want to know.
Maybe that's the lesson. And the truth is that it's not accepting Jeremiah that your family is having trouble with. It's saying goodbye to Cynthia. You are asking your daddy
Correct.
to say goodbye to this little girl. Because that's part of the confusion, my beloved. Cynthia sometime and Jeremiah other times. Is Jeremiah ready to let go of Cynthia?
Yes.
I want to be real clear. There is nothing I can do to make your family of origin accept you. But what I can do is support you in getting clear within yourself, being okay with the fact that they may never accept you. What is it that your father does not know?
He doesn't know I've legally changed my name. He just thinks I'm going by Jeremiah. He doesn't know that I have gone to therapy for this. He doesn't know that I started the process to transition. He doesn't know that I live my life as a male.
Does he understand the emotional, psychological, physical experience of being a transgendered individual?
No.
He doesn't understand because you haven't done a good job of telling the truth, beloved. This is critical. Because tomorrow is Truth Day with your dad. You ready?
No.
What will it take for you to get ready? Okay, here's the church. I wonder if that is him. Huh. Are you Brother McCain? I'm here in Los Angeles to support Jeremiah, a 27-year-old transgender man.
I actually started living my life fully as male, I'd say around the age of 22 or 23.
He says his traditional and religious family has been struggling to accept that he no longer identifies himself as Cynthia, or Dimples, as they called him growing up. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How
And
are
this
you?
is
My sister Mary.
Your sister Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm good.
I want to sit down with Mary to get her take on Jeremiah's broken relationship with their father. What does your dad say about Jeremiah?
That she is an abomination. She is gonna go to hell. She is not his daughter. He brought into this world a woman, and she is going to stay a woman.
So you say he does speak ill of Jeremiah when he's not there?
Yes.
And speaks ill of Jeremiah to you?
Correct.
What do I need to know about your dad in order to talk to him about Jeremiah?
He is old school religion. He's really stubborn. He doesn't listen. It's kind of his way or no way. He will overtalk you and tell you, he's gonna preach to you about God, and he's gonna bring out the Bible about homosexuality and all that.
This really is not about religion at all.
At all.
It's about choices, and it's understanding how gender plays a role in a person's life. That's what this is about. This is not about putting the church down. It's not about putting your dad down. No. It's not about the Bible. It really isn't about any of that.
No.
Here's something that I don't see. Where's the anger? Somebody needs to be pissed off. Who would that be?
It would be my dad that's pissed off.
Well, I'm going to meet with your dad today.
Oh, well, you're going to see that today.
Before I meet with Jeremiah and Mary's dad, I want to get clear about something. Where is Jeremiah's anger in all of this? So I talked to you, and I talked to your sister Mary.
Okay.
So what's the lie?
I'm not sure what's
There's a lie here. There's a lie.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
We talked about shame, we talked about guilt, we talked about fear. We didn't talk about anger.
Right.
Are you angry?
No, I don't think I'm angry. I think I'm hurt. I'm not angry.
Not angry.
I'm not angry.
How does your hurt show up?
I cry because it's a hurtful place to be in.
Well, why don't you get angry?
Because I don't know how to be mad at him. Because if I did, I wouldn't.
You don't have to be mad at him. You can be mad at the situation. You can be mad at God for putting this on you. But you ain't mad.
No, I'm not mad at God. No, not at all. I don't know how to be angry. Sometimes I wish I was angry and mad.
Is it that you're not angry, or is it that you've been taught that it's not nice and right to be angry?
Probably a little bit of both.
Anger simply means that your personal power, your personal space, your personal sense of being has been violated.
Well, then I'm very angry.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay. I understand now.
Are you angry?
I am.
Okay, stand up for me. Let me hear you. See that building over there? Tell them. Who are you?
I am Jeremiah, and I am angry.
Because? I'm angry because?
I'm angry because my father loves me with conditions. I'm angry because I'm tired of feeling like I can't just be myself. I'm very angry because I live in a hypocritical family.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Tell me about the hypocrisy. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Come on, Jeremiah. Fight for your life.
It's too much hypocrisy.
Tell me. Talk to me.
Let's put on the front and make sure that we have it all together. You know, we have to present this image, and this image of upholding whatever, we just have to look right. But when we're a mess.
Because this has nothing to do with you being transgendered. This is about telling the truth. What if you've been sent to minister to the preacher? What if?
So hard.
Man up. Man up. Do it different. This is about being willing to piss some people off to save your life. I'm going to talk to your father now. What do I need to know?
Be careful.
So I'm on my way now to meet Jeremiah's father, Brother McCain, at a local church. The deacon, the patriarch, the head of this family that is going through a great deal of turmoil. Okay, here's the church. I wonder if that is him. Huh. Are you Brother McCain?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
All right. I'm gonna park.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
That's him. That's Daddy. Ooh. Brother McCain.
How are you doing?
I am blessed.
Thank the Lord.
How are
Thank
you?
the Lord. Great. Thank the Lord.
Thank you for being here. And if I say to you, peace and joy and kindness and patience and discipline and forbearance, I would be sharing with you the fruits of the Spirit.
Yes, you would.
So here you are.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes.
So you want me to take this?
Yes.
Okay, and we're gonna go inside.
Okay.
I want you to tell me how hard it is for you as a black man to see your daughter walking down the street looking like a dude. What was the healing that you were looking for?
The peace that I'm looking for can only come from the God that I serve. I understand that. My father's not going to accept me. That's fine. My family's not going to accept me.
Jeremiah is a 27-year-old transgender male who was born as Cynthia. You're
I'm
scared of
afraid.
What are you afraid of, baby?
Not being accepted.
Well, that's already happened.
Yeah.
His father, Evangeline, is a Pentecostal preacher.
You can't change what God has made. She was born a female. I will never accept her as Jeremiah.
My dad said, get out my house, you bulldagger.
I still believe the Lord's going to change her.
I can't lose them because they are all I have.
I feel that if a choice had to be made between the love of my daughter and righteousness, I'm going to choose righteousness. I'm going to choose God.
My intention for this conversation is not to debate right versus wrong, but to help mend a fractured relationship between a father and his child. I just hope he's ready to face the truth. Okay, good. You can come closer, I won't bite.
Well, anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
And I thank God for that.
It's, I think, a testimony to the courage and the strength and the will of your child, your baby girl.
That's my baby.
That we're here today. I just want to understand from you, why do you think I'm here today? What is your understanding of why I'm here?
I think you here where we can communicate and see what we can do as a healing. You know, because as we know, God is the healer.
For healing for what? I want to, I need to get your understanding.
Well, I feel that I want to support her, let her know that I may disagree with her lifestyle, but my love hasn't changed. All right. My love for her will never alter. See, I'm not the judge.
Really?
I'm not.
Have you told her that you're not the judge?
I'm not the judge.
Would you be surprised to hear that she doesn't feel that from you? This little girl. What do you really know about her?
She's my baby, that's all I know. Yeah.
And your baby's is in the midst of a life-altering experience that goes against everything that you believe in. But when you see it, how do you know it? How do you feel about it? What do you call it?
I call her my daughter.
And what do you see?
I see my baby didn't change.
Change from what to what?
From the dimples to somebody else. You know?
Who?
I don't know.
And what do you call it?
I don't.
You do?
I call her my daughter.
No, you call her names.
No, I don't call her the name. I told her, I told her, I said, Dimples, you wasn't born that way.
She says she's heard you say things that make her believe you don't hold her as your child anymore.
Oh, no.
Talk to me about, for a man of your position in the community, in the church, that your child is now a transgender individual. Talk to me about shame.
No, I'm not saying that's still my baby.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, as a father, you want your children to be a demonstration of who you are.
Right.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely. So how does your daughter being a transgender individual demonstrate you?
It demonstrates that I missed something that I should have tuned in on.
You think so?
Yes. want to know the truth?
Yeah,
I feel I failed my child.
Yes.
I feel that I should have been more there as a father than just on the go going church in the night, church in the day. They wear dresses. I always programmed to what I wanted them to be.
Wait a minute, that's huge.
Yes.
That you programmed them to what you wanted them to
be.
Which was what?
You know, love God, serve God, and get married, have children, and never really saying, you know what? They have to learn for themselves. And that's my only regret.
But how did Daddy and his daughter get to the end of this experience?
You have to respect me as her father, and I respect her as my daughter.
What you have to get is that in her own body and being, as a transgender individual, she may have been born with female genitalia, but she is not a female. The place where she meets God for herself, she is male.
Okay. Well, that's her and God. I can't get into that mix.
Yeah,
right?
but you said you have to respect it.
And I respect that. That's her and God.
And what does that respect look like?
To me, that respect is letting her be who she is, but she respect who I am.
What? No. What does that mean? You'll let her be where she is.
And she'll still be my daughter.
But she's not your daughter. You're not respecting her personal experience of herself as a male.
That would have to take a lot of prayer and a lot of work and a lot of understanding.
Did you ask her, how does this feel? What is this
I
about?
haven't had the heart to answer that because I haven't really even thought of that in that way. I always think that it's going to change.
Mr. McCain?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not going to change. Can you imagine waking up tomorrow with breast and a vagina and hair down to your shoulders, knowing, as you know, that you're a man? Could you imagine that?
No, I couldn't even fathom that.
But that's how she's lived her whole life. And it doesn't mean that she's not beautiful.
Oh, no.
And it doesn't mean that
That's my baby.
something's wrong with her. And Mr. McCain, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. What it does mean is that you've got to tell the truth.
Well, I'm like this, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I will ever focus in on trying to understand that because
You're gonna have to. And I'll tell you why in a little while, but you're gonna have to. You have to stand in your daughter's face, and she is about to have surgery, and all of that sweet talking and Bible quoting is not gonna help you then. Jeremiah is a 27-year-old transgender male. He told us that his father, a Pentecostal preacher, disapproves of his lifestyle. I went to meet with his dad, Brother McCain, but so far I feel that he's holding back and not really telling me the truth about how he really feels. Can you talk to me as a father and not as a biblical scholar? Really? I mean, come on, because you know what? Let me get real with you for a minute.
Get real.
If you've been praying all these years
Yes.
and it ain't changed, either
And
your
I don't
prayers are not efficacious or you need another God.
No, I never prayed that it would change.
Well, what did you pray for?
That God would give her a mind to seek Him.
She has sought God,
Okay.
and she has found peace in her heart about her life.
Okay.
And she feels in her heart that because of the choice that she's making for herself, that you will disown her.
No.
Okay. I want you to see this. Tell me what this is.
Cynthia Jean.
What does it say, right?
Decree change your name.
Okay. So do you know what that means?
It's just changing the name, that's all.
From what to what?
To Cynthia to Jeremiah.
In her heart and in her mind and in her spirit, Cynthia is Jeremiah.
Well, Cynthia will always be Cynthia.
Well, then that's not accepting what she chooses for her life.
I'm still gonna treat her as my baby, my girl.
Even when she shows up in your presence, not as a girl, but as
She
a man.
happens. She does that now.
Mr. McCain, I know how hard this is.
Yes, yes.
Hear me with your heart, not with your head. Cynthia doesn't exist anymore. What does Daddy say when he sees what he knows to be his daughter dressed like a man?
She's still my child. They say love is blind.
Well, I hope it's blind when Jeremiah shows up in your face. I hope it's blind now.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, I am getting frustrated with Brother McCain. It must be 100 degrees in this church, so I'm struggling to keep my makeup on and to keep my cool. I want you to tell me how hard it is. I don't want you telling me all these nice, sweet words. I don't want you quoting me the Bible. I want you to tell me how hard it is for you as a black man to see your daughter walking down the street looking like a dude. You have to stand in your daughter's face, and she is about to have surgery that's going to transition her from being a female to a male. And all of that sweet talking and Bible quoting is not gonna help you then.
I live by it. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. It hurts.
Tell me what that means.
It hurts because I see myself. That's my child.
Can you accept that God would give a ministry of love and acceptance and the power of the Holy Spirit to a transgender individual?
I can answer that one.
I can see you as a piece of work and a handful, because you're going to be
I love
right.
the Lord.
Yeah. Which fruit of the Spirit do you need to practice?
Long-suffering.
And what about patience?
Patience.
Yeah.
Virtue.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yes.
And
Have you been kind to her?
Oh, yes, I have.
You have been?
I mean, I've
calling
been-
her names?
I have called her names. Yes, I have.
And that's what fruit of the Spirit
I
is
was
that?
wrong for that. And I admit that.
You have asked her forgiveness.
Oh, yes, I have.
That you were wrong.
Oh, yes, I have.
Well, you know, she didn't hear it.
Right.
I think you're in for a rude awakening, Mr. McCain. There are hundreds of thousands of parents sitting right where you are in total horror and dismay.
Yes.
That their greatest dreams and hopes and wishes for their children will
Yes.
never come true.
It will if they love them and hope. The Word of God is yet in her, so that's what I rely on.
Okay. And here's the word of God for you. Fear not.
Be not dismayed.
Fear not.
Yes.
What was the healing that you were looking
The
for?
peace that I'm looking for can only come from the God that I serve. I understand that. My father's not going to accept me. That's fine. My family's not going to accept me.
It's day 2 in Los Angeles. Whew, healing ain't easy. And after my time with Jeremiah and his father yesterday, I still feel they are both holding back. Tell me about the hypocrisy. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Come on, Jeremiah, fight for your life. I don't want you telling me all these nice, sweet words. I want you to tell me how hard it is for you as a black man to see your daughter walking down the street looking like a dude. As the day begins, I find out from my executive producer, Terry, that Jeremiah is upset that I called him out on not being completely honest with me, his father, or himself. Does he understand the emotional, psychological, physical experience of being a transgendered individual?
No.
He doesn't understand because you haven't done a good job of telling the truth, beloved. I'm a little concerned that Jeremiah has checked out and that he might leave, either because he's not ready to confront his father or because of his own fears about his new identity. So before bringing them together, I want to find out what is really going on because something is going on. Morning, beloved.
Good morning.
So, what's going on?
Just trying to process everything that's going on. I think that at some point I have to come to a place of peace, and that's where I am. I can't harbor the negativity. It's taken over.
So you feel that our conversation yesterday was negative?
No. Positive. I'm saying the things that I was going through as far as harboring what my father's done.
I want to talk about me calling you a liar. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because I understand you have some upset about that.
Yeah, I do, because I don't think that I'm a liar. I did not, if I hold something in, I don't feel like that's me lying.
Well, a withhold is a lie.
A withhold is a
anyone's
lie.
not asking me, if no one's asking me, then I'm not, you know.
Jeremiah, I don't want to play with you, brother. I don't want to play with you.
But I'm not.
I don't want to play with you. I don't want to play with you. I'm fighting for your life. This is about you moving forward in your life and a new way of being.
Right.
If you want to live in peace, as Jeremiah, you have to be clear about your intention and moment by moment in alignment with your intention. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Yeah. So if you came here for anything other than peace, you need to declare it. What was the healing that you were looking for?
The peace that I'm looking for can only come from the God that I serve. I understand that. My father's not going to accept me. That's fine. My family's not going to accept me. There's a work that I have to do. I'm called to do it. That's something that I have to work on.
So, Jeremiah's anger has finally shown itself. Now, it may be directed at me, but I know it goes much deeper. And it's clear that this healing is not going to look the way Jeremiah thinks it will look, because he may not recognize that there are layers upon layers of dishonor and dishonesty. Do you understand by not sharing the truth with your father about how you live your life? You sat right here yesterday and said to me, my father does not know that I live my life as a man, that you're not telling the truth.
My father is not somebody that you can just go and say that to. It's not just, hey, Dad, let me have a great conversation with you. Let's just be hunky-dory that I'm transgender. It doesn't work like that the way I grew up. It doesn't work like that with his teaching and how I was taught. You honor your mother and father. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. I honored him regardless of what he thinks of me.
So lying to him is honoring him?
No, I'm not lying to him.
Not telling him the truth.
It's better for me to not bring about quote-unquote shame over his life and over his beliefs because of what I'm doing.
He said to me very clearly yesterday inside of a church that he was not ashamed of you. He found out yesterday that you changed your name to Jeremiah.
Right, but he doesn't see me with the beard. He doesn't hear my voice drop. But when I walk into your house and I have top surgery and I have a beard, are you still gonna say that I'm not ashamed of you?
Ask him.
I have, and he said yes. I've come to realize that my father's opinion about whatever I'm going through or whatever I'm doing is not gonna change. If I may be broken, I may be hurt, I may be helping thousands but not be whole myself, that's fine. That's okay, because it's not getting anywhere.
Well, let me just say this.
It's not.
Your father is here, so we have an opportunity. You don't have to make it up. You don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. I spoke to you yesterday, and I spoke to him yesterday. And you two are in two very different places. Do you remember what I said about why you didn't have peace?
Yes, it's based on myself, accepting who I am as a transgender person.
Yeah. You've got two people present in your consciousness trying to live them both. I had you stand up, declare Jeremiah. And when you couldn't do it, I said, that's the fight.
You know, I don't
Why
feel like
are
you did that.
you here?
I came here because I wanted to have a better relationship with my father.
No, I thought you were here to find peace within yourself.
Yes, but you have to understand that Cynthia is who made me who I am.
There has to come a place where you allow Jeremiah to have a fresh, clean experience based on Jeremiah's experience in the moment without reaching back and referencing, well, she said this, but they said that, and he said this, but you're not gonna have peace like that. This is what I know, beloved. This is a lot. I also know that the way you've been handling it and going through it and working with it in the past hasn't worked. This is a crash course in getting to the next step. And I can imagine the fear. Is Jeremiah, as your transgender child, ashamed to you?
Looking for help straight from Iyanla? Now's your chance. After the show, log on to oprah.com/Iyanla and click on The Work. Customized and comprehensive workbooks created by Iyanla herself to help you fix your life.
Let's get to work.
The moment has finally arrived. I'm going to sit down with Jeremiah and his father so they can find some common ground and move forward as a family.
Big day?
Yes.
Big day. I realize there is no way I can fix their relationship in just 2 days. So I'm going to leave them with some homework, and they'll have to continue to work on their own. Hey, listen, healing is not always pretty or easy, and it doesn't come quick. So, Daddy,
Yes.
I know this is your Dimples,
Yes.
but I want to make a formal introduction to you of Jeremiah, which is the expression Dimples has as a transgender individual. I understand that it's going to take you a while to take it in, and that's okay. Is Jeremiah, as your transgender child, ashamed to you?
My baby is not ashamed to me. She know her daddy gonna love her regardless, and that's the.
But love is not all that's required in a relationship.
Love
Understanding,
and that's what I'm saying.
openness,
So we have to
kindness, patience, long-suffering.
Long-suffering.
Yeah. You also have a role in this, Jeremiah, a teaching, healing role. Will you be willing to educate him in the moment without the anger? But when your dad or anyone, even me, makes comments that are offensive to you as a transgender, that are just a symbol of our ignorance, would you be willing to, in the spot, do the teaching and say, wait a minute, that feels offensive to me?
Yes.
Okay, even for your dad.
Yes.
Because some things he just may not know. And that's a responsibility for you. Daddy, as Jeremiah begins to change physically, do you want a conversation with Jeremiah to support you in understanding what's going on?
No, I don't.
If you change your mind and you want to understand
If I want to ask her a question, I will ask her question.
Your father, incredibly, is changing, growing, and healing. Respect him enough to know he can handle your truth.
Yeah.
And tell him your truth and give him the respect to say, TMI. Now, my concern, I'm gonna tell you quite frankly, is that one day that his agreeing to disagree is not gonna be enough. But for right now, I at least understand that he's there for you, he hears, and I told you yesterday, this is a lot. A lesser man could not do this. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for just being open. I think your father is saying he doesn't accept the choice that you've made, but I think I hear you saying,
I disagree with your lifestyle, but I love you. You're my child. I'm not the judge of you, baby. God is.
and it's okay, Daddy, for you to be sad at the loss of your child as you knew your child. That's okay, too. Can you hear me?
I understand that.
It's okay. What do you hear him saying?
I mean, Daddy loves me regardless. That I'm still his child, you know, regardless of the decisions that I make and the choices I make.
This has been a difficult day for Jeremiah and his father. Fears, doubts, beliefs questioned, anger, and finally, agreements made. But in the end, there is love.
Your heart.
That's it right there.
Okay?
Jeremiah, look at your daddy, holding you. Jeremiah, this is the healing. Daddy,
Oh, yeah.
this is Jeremiah.
Oh, this is my baby, yes.
This is Jeremiah.
This is my baby.
Your dimples.
Yes, this is my dimples.
Jeremiah,
Daddy has you.
can you sit up so your daddy can see you? Can you do that? And I want you to see Jeremiah.
I see my baby. And I see my baby.
And that's what he can see right now, but you're totally in Jeremiah in this moment, yeah? Yeah. And did he turn his back on you? Did he put his arms around you? What do you have to say for yourself now?
Well, I ask that you forgive me. think
no,
that
no,
everything.
no forgiveness. No forgiveness. Listen, no forgiveness. But I want you to get the lessons. I swear, no forgiveness. But you gotta get the lessons. You were afraid. This is just the beginning. Can I have a hug?
Yes.
Okay. Good for you. When it comes to our children, we have no choice but to open our arms and let them in, no matter who they are or what they believe about themselves. Even when our children grow up not to be who we want them to be or think they should be, it's important to love them for who they are, even if we don't like it. The alternative, to lose them forever. And who wants that? Sometimes children are teachers for the parents. Now, if that's your story, be brave. Love your parent enough, honor them enough to speak your truth. I know it's hard work, but it's up to you to do the work. Don't put it off. Get support if you need it, but do it. And in the meantime, stay in peace, not pieces.